One of the biggest soft power things I've been seeing going around for the longest time, especially from the pro-CCP supporters, is now it's China's time to shine. China can play a massive role in brokering peace between Russia and Ukraine. This has been going on for a while now, okay? The usual, let's build a bridge, tell a good story, foreign friends of China people are saying this kind of thing. So why don't you take it away and explain what's going on here?
So first of all, everyone has to know that China sent their foreign minister Wang Yi over to Russia.
For those of you who don't know Wang Yi, he's the guy who looks like a marionette puppet.
He literally, and I don't mean to call him a puppet because he's a puppet of the state, all this kind of stuff, even though that's very apt.
Yeah.
He quite literally looks like a puppet.
Yeah.
We usually don't like to make fun of how people look, but I feel like
we can make fun of
foreign minister CCP people are like people in the Kremlin or whatever. They don't get a free pass. Anyway, he goes and he meets Putin, right? And the idea is that they've come up with this ingenious plan that they're not telling anyone about yet. They're like, we have this ingenious plan. You got to hear us out. We figured out how to stop this war, right? And everyone going into it was like, oh God, here we go.
Yep.
It somehow was worse and more shit and trash than anything anyone could ever imagine.
Yeah.
I was reading it super late and I was like, what did China actually do here? They managed to, I think, ruin their reputation even more and make other countries that were actually willing to have open ears about this whole scenario lose more respect for them and actually reduce their power on the world stage.
Yeah.
But first of all, during this meeting, you have to understand the foreign minister, Wang Yi, he will be replaced soon, by the way. This is him. You can see the resemblance here. We're saying,
like literally howdy doody over here.
Yeah, like you put your hand inside, or maybe a marionette.
Yeah, marionette. Yeah. It's definitely a marionette puppet.
Yeah.
The mouth. It's very apt. It's very, very apt.
Oh, what's this?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
I think you caught him doing something, right?
I did. I caught him the other day. Take a look.
So we're going to tape the marionette lines. So in order to get that measurement, you're going to measure from the side of the mouth to the bottom of the chin. So just write marionette lines on this one, and you're going to place it right next to the corner of your mouth. We're not stretching the tape, but we are going to stretch the skin. So you're going to anchor that with your index finger, and you're just going to pull up and just place the tape on this side.
Oh.
Poor Wang Yi.
Yeah, it's caught him in a private moment there. Anyway,
that was niche as hell. What was that? Anyway, I guess what's funny is when you're putting that together.
Yeah.
We learned that marionette lines were a thing. We'll get them someday for sure. But now we have a method to stop
everyone's got something they don't like about themselves.
For sure.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't like his marionette lines.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's his distinguishing feature. He is a puppet.
Yeah, true.
Literally of the state.
He invented them.
That woman made that for him.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, he got caught watching on that old-timey TV and looks like he turned it off in shock. So anyway, China comes up with this 12-point thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's absolutely wild. I'm not going to bore you all with the details, but what I will do is
give us a gist.
To give you a gist. So their first idea of how to broker peace between these two countries. You guys are living under Iraq. Russia invaded Ukraine. World's pissed off. Russia promised they wouldn't invade anything.
Didn't they call it? No, they called it a special military operation.
They still call it that.
Yeah.
It's actually illegal for Russians to say it's a war. Do you know that? It's interesting, right? They have to call it the special military operation.
Right.
The rest of the world's like, what are you doing, Russia? They're like, no, we're not. We're amassing troops, but we're not actually going to invade. They invade, right? CIA goes, oh, by the way, they're going to invade. They go, okay, no, we're not. And then they invade. Anyway, long story short, China has been profiting massively off this war. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And they actually did pick a side. The whole idea was that, okay, we're going to see what China does here, right? Global superpower. It's got tons of money behind it. A little bit more aligned with Russia in this scenario, but this is their chance to actually be good guys on the world stage and maybe even cheat code their way to the front and be like, you know what? We're going to back Ukraine here. You shouldn't invade sovereign territory. One of China's biggest pet peeves in this entire world for diplomacy, their biggest MO is sovereignty of land.
Yeah, because that's what they do with Taiwan. They keep claiming in the South China Seas and the India. They claim it's all their sovereign land. They love sovereign land.
It's their most important thing.
They find an old map and they're like, that's our sovereign land.
Even though the government's not the same as it was before, this is our sovereign land.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, that's their biggest, most important thing, right? And that's what they say in their first thing. They say they need to respect the sovereignty of all countries, universally recognize international law. And you're like, okay, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then it goes on to we need to abandon the Cold War mentality, right? A little ironic here. Mm-hmm. The security of a country should not be pursued at the expense of others. The security of a region should not be achieved by strengthening or expanding military blocs. And it goes on, and you would think if you were reading this with no perspective on what China's done for Russia during this war, you would say, oh, they're talking about Ukraine. No, they're talking about Russia.
Yeah.
They're taking Russia's concern, and this is what they've done. And this is why you can't read this kind of document without the perspective. You understand China's been putting out propaganda in support of Russia this entire time.
Yep.
And what they'll do is they'll say, well, actually, Ukraine was threatening the sovereignty of Russia.
Yes.
Right? And NATO is the big problem here. Mm-hmm. So what they've tried to do is have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to put this message out there that they acknowledge the borders, right? They acknowledge that you shouldn't invade sovereign territory. But actually what they're saying is that they support Russia's invasion of their sovereign territory. Yeah. That's what they mean.
Yeah.
Right? It's insane. Mm-hmm. They say they should cease hostilities because conflict and war benefit nobody, right? Mm-hmm. All parties must stay rational and exercise restraint. Avoid fanning the flames and aggravating tensions, and prevent the crisis from deteriorating further. All parties should support Russia and Ukraine in working in the same direction and resuming direct dialogue as quickly as possible so as to gradually de-escalate the situation and ultimately reach a comprehensive ceasefire. Mm-hmm. Probably don't invade a country in the first place. Probably that's the easiest solution there.
Yeah, just pull back.
It's a simple ceasefire.
Yeah.
You just leave.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
You're like, my bad.
Yeah, it's literally so easy. Be like, okay, I guess we tried enough. Yeah. Russia's very similar to China in the aspect that they can never be wrong.
Like with this weather balloon thing.
Yeah.
You
they're
know?
still saying it's a
They're
weather
still saying
balloon.
it's a weather balloon.
Dude, there's selfies in a freaking jet.
You have in the YouTube pilot.
You can see it.
It's a surveillance balloon, but they're still saying it's a weather balloon. They still won't tell you which so-called civilian company that it belonged to.
State media in China is still posting pictures of actual weather balloons and then saying weather balloons are important.
Yeah.
Why are you shooting them down? But they're showing an actual little weather balloon.
Like a little weather balloon.
So that you're not paying attention to the real photos that were taken.
They cannot admit that they made a mistake.
Yes.
They can't be like, our bad. Yes, it is a spy balloon. Why can't they just say that? It's a surveillance balloon. It got blown off course. That's our bad.
Yes.
But they don't say that. They just refuse. You shot down a civilian airship.
Correct.
Yeah.
5 is resolving the humanitarian crisis. All measures conducive to easing the humanitarian crisis must be encouraged and supported. Humanitarian operations should follow the principles of neutrality, impartiality, and humanitarian issues should not be politicized. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. I mean, this... If you read this and you didn't know who the author was, you wouldn't understand the absolute hypocrisy of this.
Yeah.
Humanitarian aid should not be politicized.
That's
We're talking
what China
about the country
does.
that went to the Syria-Turkey earthquake disaster, got in the way of other humanitarian aid, put down flags and made people wait while they planted flags down for photo opportunities so that they could say that they did it. They would go and when somebody would help someone, they would touch that person's body and be like,
and then
see,
be like,
we did it.
Chinese rescue workers rescued. I did a whole video about it.
Yeah, you did a great video about it.
It's disgusting.
It's insane.
They made the Hong Kong contingent wait 10 hours. Yeah. They're there. They're like, we've arrived. We're ready to rescue. And they're like, you have to wait for the flag raising ceremony. Waited 10 hours. They could have been out there rescuing people.
Yes.
But they were held back 10 hours.
You know what else they did?
What?
Taiwan sent people over there with very little fanfare.
Yeah.
With very little promotion. Because when you send out aid over there, you're doing it because you're a good person.
Yeah, because you care. Because you care, yeah.
That's how you foster good relationships.
Yep.
China has politicized every little last bit of humanitarian aid they did. By the way,
they claimed Taiwan was themselves.
They claimed Taiwan's aid was China.
Yeah.
Right? So all of this amazing aid and altruistic aid that Taiwan did, China claimed for their own.
Yeah.
It was insane. And pound for pound, by the way, look it up. Sometimes they duke it out with Greece, but China is the least charitable country in the entire world.
Yeah, and those are like proper official statistics, not made up.
Yes. China does these things where, like, remember in Italy, Wuhan, the coronavirus breaks out, right?
Yeah.
They go, actually, it's not from China, it's from Italy. And they start blaming Italy. And
well,
Italy's
remember,
like,
Italy.
Yo, what the heck?
Italy sent.
Yeah, they sent over
They
all
sent
the
PPE and stuff to China, and then when it hit Italy really bad, China sold them PPE.
They sold them the PPE back and then said, look at how good we are.
Yeah.
After we allowed the virus to leak from China.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let's keep going here.
Yeah.
Protecting civilians and prisoners of war, and they talk about how they should exchange POWs between the two countries.
I haven't heard anything that's new or groundbreaking here, by the way.
It's nothing. It's nothing,
Yeah.
but there's a couple of very important points.
Okay.
Which actually highlight why this document was made.
Okay.
7 is keeping nuclear power plants safe, so they say that you shouldn't be blowing up nuclear plants, okay? Pretty sure Russia was targeting said nuclear plants.
They certainly were.
And for some reason, I get the gist that China's not talking about Russia targeting those plants, but the propaganda of Ukraine targeting the Russian plants.
Right.
8, reducing strategic risk. This is absolutely rich. This is richer than a dark chocolate cake
Okay.
without a glass of milk.
Right.
Nuclear weapons must not be used, and nuclear wars must not be fought.
Okay.
Whatever,
Good.
right?
Good. I agree.
Yeah, who doesn't, right? The threat or use of nuclear weapons should be opposed. All right, fine. Nuclear proliferation must be prevented and nuclear crisis avoided. China opposes the research, development, and use of chemical and biological weapons by any country under any circumstances. Have you read Unrestricted Warfare, written by the PLA, People's Liberation Army? Number 2,
Yeah.
nuclear proliferation must be prevented. What country is currently developing the biggest nuclear stockpile in the world?
China.
What country, just like when they said, what country is pursuing green technology the most and adding coal plants and makes more
Pollution,
CO2 emissions
yeah.
than any country combined?
Yeah, China.
They keep saying things and nobody calls them out.
It's good for thee, but not for me type thing.
Yes.
It's very true. China's been ramping up their nuclear warhead production like an insane amount.
Yes.
In recent years. And not only that, the whole biological warfare thing.
Yes.
They've literally got the PLA, like you said, People's Liberation Army generals and stuff writing about doing this openly.
DNA manipulation, biological weapons.
Yeah. So,
Bro, they write term papers on it.
Yeah.
And they put it out in English for people to read.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. What's next?
Number 9 is facilitating grain exports. All parties need to implement the Black Sea Grain Initiative. So this is about the trade of grain, the UN initiative and all that stuff. But 10 is the most important. And this is actually what this is about.
Okay, let's listen to 10.
Do you know why China is actually doing this? Is because sanctions have absolutely crippled Russia in many aspects, right? And they are terrified of sanctions because they know that if they get caught supplying real, actual lethal force to Russia, they will be sanctioned by the rest of the world. And China needs the rest of the world more than anyone needs China.
Yeah.
And the U.S. could absolutely be self-sufficient. It'd be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Without China.
People might actually have to work around here.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what I mean?
China actually needs the U.S. market. They need it so badly, and Europe as well.
Yeah.
If Europe and America sanction China, it's game over, right? Listen to this. Number 10 is stopping unilateral sanctions. Unilateral sanctions and maximum pressure cannot solve the issue. They only create new problems. China opposes unilateral sanctions unauthorized by the UN Security Council. Relevant countries should stop abusing unilateral sanctions and long-arm jurisdiction against other countries so as to do their share in de-escalating the Ukraine crisis and create conditions for developing countries to grow their economies and better the lives of people. Maybe like Ukraine?
Yeah.
Maybe sanctions against the country that invaded? You just said you were in the other principles that you're against the war.
This long-arm jurisdiction, this wording that they use it when they attack the United States. So they're obviously only talking about the United States here with the long-arm jurisdiction. Yes. They're talking about benefiting developing countries. China still tries to get away classing itself as a developing country. That's how they get to send you your Temu package for free from China. It costs you $2. It arrives at your door. You're actually paying for that through your tax dollars and whatever else. But this whole, protect us developing countries. This is a very selfish thing for China to say. They want this benefit for themselves. They're not even talking about Ukraine here or Russia. They're talking about China.
They are trying to make sure that the UN Security Council and everyone else
drops sanctions.
So no more sanctions because they don't want sanctions. Yeah. That's literally what this is about. How can we profit from this horrible, devastating conflict while we help Russia? Yeah. And by the way, I have the things that they've been doing that have been breaking all those rules.
So what's this over here?
11 is just keeping industrial and supply chain stable. Again, self-serving, making sure that all of those things still benefit China and that people are not restricting things that are helping Russia.
Yeah.
And 12 is promoting post-conflict reconstruction. Think about how many amazing deals
China Belt and Road Initiative
could broker.
Dude, it's ridiculous. It's just all self-serving bullshit.
It's literally the narcissist prayer mixed with like, give me, I will give nothing. There is all these rumors. Oh, by the way, that was on CGTN's website, right? And that's the one that it's the official one that they're spreading around, right? So people can read the 12 principles. So that's state media, right?
Yeah.
It's been out for what, 1 or 2 days now, right?
Yeah.
There's one comment on the CGTN website, despite getting millions of views.
Only one comment.
Only one comment, because they only allow one comment.
Oh, okay.
That, you know how this works, right? It's moderated. There's
Right.
only one comment on a page that's gotten millions of views.
Yeah.
And it's by user
CGTN, Beijing,
yeah. See whatever. And it says, this position paper illustrates the neutrality of China in the Ukrainian conflict. It calls on both Ukraine and Russia to engage in dialogue, which Ukraine is not willing to do. The only comment they allowed is pro-Russia.
Of course it is.
And they're claiming to be neutral in this whole conflict. It's the most absurd thing you've ever heard in your life. And if you're falling for this, you got to take a step back.
Yeah, you have to.
There are so many ways right now that China has been helping out. This is just pure fallacy.
Okay, so let's see. How have they been helping out?
So there's 3 ways that China has been breaking the rules, right?
Okay.
Remember? Neutral, right? We are not supporting either side in this. We hope you guys stop, right? Russia has been selling energy to China when they're not supposed to, right? China doesn't give an F about any of these rules that have been placed, by the way.
They never do.
No, they never do.
We saw it firsthand. They're like, oh yeah, we won't allow North Koreans to work within the borders of China.
Right.
We'll put sanction on it because, that was the deal with the United Nations and the world. Meanwhile, we saw them employing North Koreans inside of China.
Correct.
That's just how it works.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. No one will know.
Western sanctions meant that there were embargo on oil sales, right?
Yeah.
And the denial of access of SWIFT, like you had mentioned, right?
Yeah.
China has given them avenues around those
Yeah,
things,
so giving them a way around, yeah.
So the idea that you're having these
defeating the sanctions.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, the sanctions are hurting the Russian people now, right?
Yeah.
It's hurting the local economy. It's in recession. It's like minus 4.5%. It's horrible, right? But the Russian state is emboldened in getting richer by the day because of China's access to their market, right? And vice versa. So there's a quote here from Neil Thomas. He's a senior analyst for China and the Northeast Asia at Eurasia Group. He says, China has supported Russia's war economically in the sense that it has ramped up trade with Russia, which has weakened Western efforts to cripple Moscow's military machine. Xi Jinping wants to deepen China's relationship with an increasingly isolated Russia. And you think about that. Makes so much sense, right? The rest of the world, they almost like that everyone's pushing Russia away. Yeah. Because it means full access to their market with no holds barred. Yeah. And number 2, a huge advantage, right? If you're beholden now to the Chinese economy instead of the rest of the world's market, what do you think's going to happen? You know what China does when you give an inch?
Yeah, they take them off.
It's so clear. It happens all the time.
Give us all your natural resources.
Yes.
Think we'll take back that piece of land that kind of belongs to us anyway.
Yep. In 2022, trade between Russia and China went up 30% to $190 billion, right? So this just went, woo, let's fill this deficit, right? China bought $50.6 billion worth of crude oil from Russia from March to December, right? Coal imports went up 54% to $10 billion. And natural gas went up 155%, almost to $10 billion, right? And it's a boon for both sides. Think about it. You have Russia able to offload the stuff it's not allowed to offload anywhere else.
Yeah, so it can sell it to make money, and China gets it at a discount. It's a captive market. They're like, we're the only ones going to buy this from you, so you better sell it to us cheap.
Yep. Anyway, Gazprom, which is the state oil company, right, in Russia, has access to this massive market now, right? Yeah. Number 2 is they replace Western suppliers with China. So before, Russia was buying Japanese cars, Japanese cell phones, Apple phones, things like this. All these Western / other Asian country products, right? And that's been replaced. There is a share surge from 10% to 38% in the Chinese car market. So 38 jumped to 38% of usage for Chinese cars in Russia now. Huge boon for China.
It's okay.
Who's currently trying to offload all their cars.
It's fine. They're used to Ladas and stuff, so it's the same deal, really.
I'm not talking about like what it means for the consumer. I'm talking about what it means for the state. China's having a huge time exporting their cars abroad.
They're going to be resurrecting those old Ladas soon enough.
Yeah,
they'll be like, this is better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh man, Chinese brands accounted for 40% of Russian expenditure for electronics brands, right?
Right.
And that was something that was already like creeping in.
Yeah, I mean, I get it,
but it's way higher now.
Yeah,
it's way. There's so much incentive for both
Chinese
sides.
consumer electronics are fine. They're like pretty, like phones and stuff. They're copies of things.
Yes.
But they do the job.
Yeah.
And some of them are pretty good quality. It's all IP theft and stuff, but it works. So I can see why it's not a big deal.
So it was, remember I said it was 40%, right?
Yeah.
That was in 2021. So it was like, a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
So that's already a huge chunk of the market.
Yeah.
Consumer electronics in Russia now are 95% Chinese.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's literally taken over, right? And the most important thing,
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Put on the PowerPoint.
Yeah,
Give me a page wipe.
Yeah, there we go.
They have an alternative to the US dollar.
Yeah.
And that is something, it's unprecedented. We haven't seen, people keep talking about this de-dollarization bullshit.
Oh, yeah,
it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Everyone's still trading in the dollar. There's no one wants the yuan because it's a shit currency.
Yeah.
It has no backing. It has no realistic intrinsic value.
I'll tell you one thing. I learned the hard way when I had to go back to South Africa one time during my entire 14-year stay there. During the Olympics, they forced every foreigner to reapply for their visas in their home country.
Yeah.
And I took a bunch of RMB with me, and I naively thought I could change it at a money changer. Not a single place in South Africa would accept them.
Nope.
It's not an international currency.
Nope.
You can't just go, like you can't even do that here in America. You can't go into a bank and exchange them, can you? No.
Well, you can in some banks, but when I first came back, I couldn't.
Yeah.
You could go to like really big cities and do it.
Yeah. There'll be a way, but it's not an international currency.
No.
Yeah, it's a big thing that those Telegood China story, foreign friend type people have been going on about. Is like, we can't wait. America's going to lose the petrodollar.
Some of these guys are American. Why do you want the US dollar to tank?
They love it. Well, obviously
because they're tankies.
Yeah, and they're getting paid by the Chinese government. So
sure. They want to.
Then they can actually spend their RMB for once.
They go spend those Rambos.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
so, they got a big gas bill from all the gaslighting they do, and never mind all the straw they have to keep buying for their straw man arguments.
Straw prices are through the roof.
Exactly.
So. What's happening is there is a de-dollarization for the foreign reserve currency in Russia. Right?
Yeah.
What they're doing is replacing it with the RMB yuan, right? Which no one wants.
But it makes sense if you're buying everything from China, though.
Yeah, and you know what's great for China is that that's stabilizing their currency because they were having a real big problem. They were doing they artificially what's it called? Adjust it. Change it.
They always do. They manipulate their currency all the time.
Manipulating the currency.
Manipulation, yeah.
They're manipulating their currency, but they don't have to do it as much, and they don't have to be that overt about it. When you have Russia there to pick up the slack and actually stabilize it for you. So it's this weird parasitic relationship that they both had. And China's not supposed to be doing any of this stuff.
Sure.
They've literally picked a side over and over again. They've said there's unlimited friendship and cooperation with Russia. They've sent diplomats back and forth multiple times. Xi Jinping has made it wildly apparent over how many years now that he has picked Russia in this conflict.
Yeah.
And now the U.S. is threatening that they will release their intelligence, saying that we do have the plans potentially that China is going to send or has been sending lethal aid to Russia, which is, let's be honest, going to escalate the situation to something that nobody wants, right? But don't fall for this shit for a second.
Yeah.
Not for a gosh darn second.
Yeah.
It's insane what China's been getting away with on a diplomatic level that anyone's even paying attention to them right now.
Yeah.
Why are we even talking about it right now? I just had to bring it up because people are talking about their 12-point plan, and it's absurd.
Yeah, it's not even worth talking about.
It's a lie. Crumple it up, burn it. Try to sit through this and not get mad.
All right, let's take a look. What has he got to say?
是乌克兰战场的最大武器提供者。昨天美方还宣布再向乌克兰提供5亿美元的军事援助。美方现在却不断地散布中方提供武器的。
So yeah, he's basically moaning about most of the weapons supplied to Ukraine come from the USA, and they've just sent a bunch more money, and so it makes people wonder.
They were invaded.
Yes, they were invaded. And that's
they
what
were
you
invaded.
Do. Yeah, that's what you do, is you help people that have been invaded.
You don't help the invader.
No. So he's like, it makes people wonder what the US is up to by falsely claiming that China is offering weapons.
You know, China's doing...
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what's happening, guys. And
Yeah.
I gosh darn hope it's not true. But usually when they go out there and say they're not doing something, it means the very opposite.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have been supplying all sorts of equipment and so on. We know that for a fact.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's just how it is.
Not good.
Let's see what's going on.
居心何在？美方口口声声要维护和平，实际上却大发战争财。美国的军工企业从乌克兰战场赚得盆满钵满，良心
He's
何在
mad？in this.
Yeah.
美方曾在阿富汗推行要战斗到最后一个阿富汗人的政策，
Shut up, dude.
Yeah.
难道今天还要让乌克兰战斗到最后一个乌克兰人吗？
Pause that there. Tell me that's not taking a side.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not taking a side.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making this wild claim that America actually wants this as a proxy war until all the last Ukrainians are dead, right? Then what are you saying on your side of things from a diplomatic level?
So what they're saying is they don't want to support Ukraine.
Correct. Correct.
That's all. They don't want to send anything to help.
No.
And you know, it's kind of it's very disingenuous because it's not just America sending
Nope.
weapons and stuff, man. The whole of Europe's sending stuff through. Even Germany, you know, it's begrudgingly sending stuff. They're like, oh man, we have to.
We really like supporting evil.
Yeah, we don't want
Normally.
it. We don't want to send these Leopard tanks or whatever.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, send the damn tanks. And they're like, how can we avoid this without pissing off China?
Yes.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
They've been trying everything to like stop helping.
Yeah.
It's awful. But everybody's been helping out that can help out. Volunteer fighters have been going to help, you know, basically stem the invasion. And we have to bring it back to that at the end of the day. I know there's a lot of confusion over this whole thing, especially in America. I've been seeing the extremists on both sides are starting to be taking Russia's side and
Simping
saying like,
Russia.
oh, just warmongering America wants to like create military industrial complex, this and that, and the next thing.
Yeah. It's literally Russia trying to propaganda.
Yeah. But guys, honestly, at the end of the day, you have a country who's just sitting there doing their own thing, carrying on with their lives, and Russia's like, we will just invade.
Yeah.
Like, screw you and your
break every
sovereign.
promise.
You're like, that's your border, yeah, but we don't care. We just want to take it back because, you know, and then they're like, shit, like, what's our reasoning? Oh, because you're Nazis, or because you're this, or because, you know, like, you might join NATO, but they're not. Like, nobody ever offered them to join NATO. Like, all this stuff, like, let's invade, let's do it. And they jumped in. They're the aggressor. They're the ones that attacked. Nobody attacked Russia. Nobody in their right bloody mind would attack Russia.
That's the propaganda working, though.
Yeah. Why would somebody say, like, let's attack this massive behemoth of a country, this nuclear power that's got nuclear weapons and submarines and fighter jets and all that, the biggest, other than, you know, outside of China and the US. Let's just attack them. We're a tiny country. Let's attack them. It's not going to happen.
China-Russia propaganda has been wildly successful amongst the fringes, but it's actually creeping a little bit more into mainstream. And it's wild because people get aggressive when you, like, call it out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you point out a website they get this information from, you're like, bro, that's literally from the Kremlin.
Yeah.
Or that's literally Chinese state media. And they'll go, you CIA sympathizer, you shill, you know, and it's like, dude, it's provable, right? Like, we've seen the infiltration of this, and this is our job. We watch propaganda to see where people are getting tricked. It's been wildly successful on a lot of fronts, but that's not what we're here to cover. What we're here to cover is that China has picked a side, and it's doing this bizarre dance where it's pretending like it hasn't, and you're supposed to believe that it hasn't, and at the end of all this rubble and wreckage, which they're profiting off of, they're going to stand victorious and say, we are the ones that brokered this peace deal.
Yeah.
With
and
Russia
they're not
as the
helping
victor.
anything. I mean, at the end of the day, what they're trying to say is that we should reward Russia for invading.
Yes.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
They're saying the best way out of this is for the Ukraine to just put their hands up, step back, and let Russia take whatever they want, and that it's okay for other countries to just invade other countries without any repercussions. Yeah,
it sets a precedent, and what a wonderful precedent to set. Because you know why? What does it actually mean for China?
It means they can invade Taiwan.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's just grooming.
Yeah.
It's literally grooming. It's like, let's let Russia be a guinea pig invader and watch them, and we'll groom the world with propaganda with Russia's aid to make sure that nobody really cares when we invade Taiwan.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Yeah. And why do you think China gets so mad on a diplomatic level when people compare Ukraine to Taiwan? Why do you think they get so mad?
Yeah, exactly, because it's the truth.
It's a test bed.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we won't bore you with the rest of his damn speech because it's annoying. Oh, you want to show your little experiment with AI?
Oh, yeah. It's
So,
OpenAI. If you ask
explain
OpenAI,
it first.
If you ask OpenAI one of those things, right? A 12-point deal to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine.
So this is unbiased. This is using OpenAI.
This is OpenAI.
Not closed AI, not left AI, not right AI.
Would you like to read what their 12-point solution for Russia and Ukraine peace is?
Sure. So this is what the AI came up with. You just typed it in this morning. Number 1, Russia should immediately withdraw all troops and military equipment from the territory of Ukraine. 2, Ukraine should agree to not seek membership in NATO or any other military alliance that is hostile to Russia. 3, both sides should agree to respect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of each other's countries. 4, both sides should agree to respect the rights of minorities within their own countries. 5, the international community should provide economic assistance to Ukraine to help it recover from the damage caused by the conflict. 6, Russia should agree to compensate Ukraine for the damage caused by the conflict. 7, both sides should agree to release all prisoners of war and political prisoners. 8, both sides should agree to cooperate in the investigation of any war crimes committed during the conflict. 9, an international peacekeeping force should be established to monitor the ceasefire and ensure compliance with the agreement. 10, both sides should agree to negotiate a long-term settlement to the conflict that addresses the root causes of the conflict. 11, the international community should provide support for the reconstruction and development of the Donbas region. 12, both sides should agree to engage in confidence-building measures such as cultural and educational exchanges to help build trust between the two nations. I'll just put that up on the screen. And that is a...
I mean, you don't even have to agree with everything, but you can all agree that it's a hell of a lot more cohesive and neutral than China's bullshit agreement.
Absolutely.
The first principle is very simple. Get out.
Yeah.
Just leave.
Stop invading.
That's what a normal country on the world stage as a global superpower should just say, you should pull out.
Yeah, and then you can work out your differences.
Then you can do that. And,
you can
and
be
then
like,
you can still take advantage like the typical CCP way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Work out your differences. If you thought that you're worried about them joining NATO, make it a rule that they don't join NATO, you know?
Yes.
Like, I think everyone can agree on that.
Yeah.
You know, if you're worried about them being Nazis or something, then make sure that the Nazi situation is dealt with. You just get your weapons out. Stop killing civilians.
Don't invade.
You know?
Don't invade.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Thank you, AI.
Yeah, anyway, I just thought would put a bit of reason here for you.
A little bit too neutral.
Yeah, it's a little bit too neutral,
nice,
isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.